Good evening. Hey, this is Greg Wood with Silver Stream Advisors. I greatly appreciate everyone's time this evening. I am going to hopefully blow your mind with the news that I have, and I'm sure most of you, this will be brand new territory, something you've never heard of, nor would you ever believe is even possible. I first heard about this about a year ago, and didn't believe it at the time, and also didn't have the luxury to spend a large amount of time researching it initially. But after that, after moving closer back to Las Vegas, I recognized that there was a lot of change that was going on in the southern Utah as well as southern Nevada markets, and it forced me to investigate this extremely unique opportunity a little bit further right now. So as we move forward, there's a few housekeeping items. Of course, everyone is muted currently, and if you have some questions, please go ahead and type that in. There's a box over here on the right that allows you to, as long as your box is purposely moved over there, it does allow you to type in some questions. I'm sure most of you will have a lot of questions. We will address many of those during the presentation, but I would love to, if you feel like I need to address something immediately, go ahead and type those in. I will try to address that throughout this presentation. I will hopefully finish this within 45 minutes with the Q&A at the very end. It could very well get to an hour, but again, please do your best to pay attention, because you probably will not believe what I'm going to show you that is taking place in several states right now. And again, I apologize if there is any delay in streaming. It typically moves fairly fast in the evenings, but it seems like the weather has slowed down our internet just slightly. But what we are trying to show you is, because of some recent decisions that have taken place, that the banks are actually losing their equity position and actually getting wiped out on their mortgages. And the judges are currently ruling against these banks. And I kind of played along with this monopoly image, as you've seen both in the beginning, maybe in some of you have seen in our Facebook. I've been using this poor banker as his hat unturned as he's losing, and this is where they were before. So it's really just to lighten things up a little and hopefully help you understand that the banks are getting in trouble through the judicial system that they've taken advantage of for quite some time now. There we go. So some of the things we want to discuss is really a little bit of a history. I think that's one of the most important things that people really are concerned about, is why is this happening now? Is it something new that took place? What really creates this? And I am going to address most of the issues as quickly as I can without boring everyone to death. But I will spend a good amount of time specifically discussing what is happening in Nevada. The reason for that is that they are a pioneer in what's taking place. People are very aggressive on the opportunity that is happening there. So, but specifically in Nevada, a homeowners association is perfected upon the recordation of the association's declaration. This is just some legal jargon that I'm going to review with you. What I really would like to help you understand is this isn't new. This is something that's taken place since the 60s and 70s. It even began in Hawaii in actually early 60s. And there's different acts as well as legislator bodies and lawmakers that have changed how this has taken place over the last handful of years, 40, 50 years now. I personally have over 25 years of real estate finance and investment experience. Never heard of anything like this, even though I grew up in Las Vegas. I started my career there and did loans in many of these states that this is affecting. I do know most of you will probably read what is on the screen, so I typically will not read everything that's on there. So if we go back, the developers, home builders at the time in the 70s were building homes and subdivisions, and it really created an issue, again specifically in Nevada, but also could be the case in most states that this was effective. They actually were creating drainage problems and flooding in these subdivisions that they would raise the ground level and improve these neighborhoods, but when it would rain heavily, it flooded the surrounding areas more drastically. So because of the Federal Water Pollution Act in 1972, they created some language that said these home builders, developers, had to at least create a system that the flooding wouldn't be worse than it was prior to. It had to be the same if they were going to develop those areas. And that created some early language of homeowners association where developers would charge money, home builders would go ahead and charge money for the development of the water retention areas. And around that time, the Uniform Law Commission got involved on a national level, really solve a problem, because as builders turned over control to the owners of these homes, the initial CC&Rs that were recorded at the beginning of the development. And as the development began, that date, the recordation of the CC&Rs were initially way before any mortgage would be recorded. So as far as a priority date, the CC&Rs of the homeowners association or the subdivision actually predated any liens and could have easily at that time created a first lien position that would be in front of any mortgages that took place at that time. Let's see. There's a question there that I don't see that it should be a problem. I'm going to move this screen here. Hopefully this helps. There was a black part of the screen, so hopefully this helps. Actually, it doesn't seem to. I apologize, but it seems like the software that Citron's actually happened, so I apologize if that has blocked your screens a little bit. I've never seen that do that before. Anyhow, so I apologize again for that. So what started taking place is the lenders were asking the homeowner associations or the builders to go ahead and subordinate the CC&Rs behind their liens. And many of the builders and homeowners did allow that to take place. During the crash of the 80s, a lot of those home builders and associations really took a beating because they had no longer any power because of their subordinating their interest behind the lenders. It really put them in a bad position where they no longer could collect any fees. No ability to foreclose on the the properties to collect their dues. And homeowners associations are nonprofit. For the most part, as far as I know, they are generally all nonprofit organizations and typically ran by volunteer individuals in the associations themselves. They don't want to be dealing with these headaches typically when it is a nonprofit. And when dues are not getting paid, it puts them in a severe problem. So during this particular time frame, the Uniform Law Commission finalized what is currently known as the Uniform Common Interest Ownership Act, and this was in 1982, which allowed them to be in a first lien position in front of the mortgage company if the association dues became delinquent. And if you think about the logic behind that, is if the associations are not able to collect some of these dues, the water areas that they were talked about, the curb, the entryways, and all of these common areas actually would become in such disrepair that it would become a blight in the communities as well as the cities. So they were at least allowed to lien these properties similar to what a taxes would be. Never did they think that this would actually create a potential foreclosure event. but they did have the language to say, yeah, you're in a first trustee position. And again, in 1991, Nevada and many other states adopted this act that allows the standardized language. And in Nevada, it's the NRS 116.3116 was specifically saying that they can lien up to 6 months of association dues in front of the bank's first deed of trust position. That recently changed in 2009 to 9 months of dues. And the reason for that, and a lot of people ask, well, why did it change from 6 months to 9 months? The legislator actually asked, and the homeowners associations got together because of the crisis, and the long time that the banks were taking to foreclose, they actually were lobbying to get 24 months of association dues to be a first lien position. And what happened during this legislative process, the banks said, hey, we know we're taking too long to foreclose and take ownership of these homes, but it shouldn't take us more than 9 months to actually foreclose on the property. And as we all know, that actually did not take place. So the legislator changed the 24-month language to say, okay, well, the banks are now promising that they will get these homes resolved within 9 months, so therefore they went backwards to a 9-month of association dues to be in a first lien position. Again, that did not take place. The associations became extremely angry over this, and they wanted to force the banks to actually pay this going forward. So let's go ahead and dialogue and visualize what is really creating this scenario currently. We brought up the 2009 problem, and many of the mortgage companies we all know are very upside down from the actual value of the home. These homes are, in Las Vegas would be a good example, the homes are worth $150,000, $200,000, but the mortgage that is behind that value is nearly double what the current value is. So the banks are just not in a position to want to foreclose. They have borrowers that are way upside down, maybe have gone bankrupt, vacated these homes years ago. Associations are left with this problem of vacant homes, shadow inventory, zombie inventory, and the like, that the banks actually have decided to not throw the money and the manpower to fight this, and they just said, hey, we're going to wait this out for as long as possible. We're going to deal with this at a 1 and 2 problem here and there, and it's not going to really create a nightmare. Nor did they honestly think that homeowners associations were ever going to foreclose on a home, and that a judicial system would back the homeowners association's lien amount for a small $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 amount would ever wipe out a $200,000 mortgage. And so the banks were really playing chicken with the homeowners associations as well as the court systems. A handful of investors got together just a couple of years ago and says, you know what, we're going to play this game a little bit. We're going to force the banks to either act, or we're going to go ahead and foreclose on the property and take possessory interest in the property. The question became a couple of years ago, would this ever really be, were you ever able to actually wipe out a mortgage? That became the question, and a lot of people didn't know that answer at the time. So investors said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and gamble with that opportunity. And again, this is available in 20 plus states. They have super priority lien legislation, and it's actually more like 22 states. A couple of them are very minor, where you can't for first mortgage lender, but we'll get into some of those down the road. So the perfect storm is, again, the banks are owed twice as much as the value of the home in many cases, especially in Las Vegas, Florida, other states that had a massive problem. You also have banks that are overwhelmed with the problem this could be, And they don't have the homeowners association dues set up in their escrow accounts. All they have currently is the taxes and the insurance. They don't have the dues. So when a owner doesn't pay it, the bank necessarily says, well, we don't have the money nor the desire to go ahead and pay it for on behalf of the owner because we're just the mortgage company. And historically, the associations would rarely ever foreclose on the property. So this failure allowed the HOAs to foreclose in recent history, and I would say in the last handful of years. Many states are not even doing this. The associations have just decided, hey, it's not worth our money to put towards the legal process and our attorneys to force a foreclosure. And that's where I want people to recognize that the opportunity is untapped in most markets. And by the time the banks realized that what had happened, pretty much about every bank was affected by these foreclosures, one way or the other. And we can get into the history of the bank's origination time frame. The banks, when I was doing loans, Countrywide, Norwest, Taylor Bean Whitaker, many loan originating bankers and mortgage companies, they're no longer in existence. So those loans were gobbled up by the large banks, and they don't even many times know what they own. They paid 10 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar for that. So I know in here it says, well, it seems to be a hard pill to swallow that the HOA could sell a property for a couple $1,000s and extinguish first mortgage worth over $100,000. It's happening. And the law is very clear in black and white in those states. And that's where these judges are getting these cases presented to them fairly recently, and they're not necessarily sure what to do initially. They did say that it's very clear, the language is clear, the divisions of real estate in these states were very clear about what they're saying, but yes, they also said it doesn't seem fair. And initially, a couple years ago, they kicked out some of these decisions by saying, well, it does seem unfair. We haven't been given enough argument, both sides, to make a proper ruling. So they would just rule on behalf of the bank by saying, yes, banker, it doesn't seem fair. We are not going to wipe you out. However, the homeowners association that foreclosed or the investor that bought it at foreclosure does have a possessory right in the property. So we have a problem here. You both have a claim, but what are you going to do about it? And it wasn't only until fairly recently that things changed. So to explain what this says, the super priority amount is intended to force first deed holders to step up. And that was what the question became for years now, is why on earth would a bank let this happen? I get asked this question constantly. If the bank knew how serious this was, why don't they just write the check for a couple $1,000s? They're being given notice, they're being served notice, they get a notice of default, they get a notice of intent to foreclose, they even get a copy of the notice of intent to sell. And they could show up at the trustee's cell and buy the debt themselves, the deed, but they're not doing it. In recent ruling, again, this is in Nevada, the U.S. District Court Judge Andrew Gordon of the District of Nevada ruled that the statute is clear and its face a clear, and on its face and clearly leads to extinguishment of super priority amounts are included. So he was just saying that it's very clear what the law is, that there is no ambiguous language here. It is what's a different screen here. Apologize for the delay. I'm going to pull up the legislation so this is the ruling, the Nevada ruling. The HOA may pursue a civil suit to recover unpaid assessments directly from the unit owner, or it may foreclose on a lien created under the statute. To conduct a foreclosure sale on its lien, the HOA must comply with certain notice requirements. And it goes through these details, and again, you'll get a copy of this if you choose. But at the sale, the HOA must sell to the highest bidder, and the HOA may credit bid on the property up to the amount of the unpaid assessments and any permitted costs, fees, and expenses incident in the enforcement of its lien. And I know as you're listening here, you probably have a lot of questions that's going to come up, and it's going to hit you probably like it did me. I couldn't sleep for weeks straight through the night, and I had to think over and over again, what is really going on here? Is this really happening? And I spent lots of money trying to research what risks were. And I know that you will all have similar questions at the conclusion of this. So we're going to discuss what the current opportunity is. And again, I apologize for any delay. It seems like the internet's getting a little bit slow. But many states, this is an untapped market. They are not forcing this issue in some of my favorite states because of the legislation potentially there. Again, I apologize for the delay. It seems like there's a small slowdown in the internet. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pull up my, sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not sure why this is taking so long to go. There we go. I think that's better. Okay. So we're going to discuss a little bit about the opportunity, because what I want to do is allow those in attendance and those that I have been helping out for the last 4 years with our company to find good real estate investment opportunities. I've been able to buy properties that you will not believe, and I'm going to show you some of these examples at the end, but there are a handful of states that you are able to take advantage of this, very similar to a tax deed, let's call it. It is something similar to that. Even though tax deed ever get the properties in those. But there are lots of case law and precedent to show what's really going on here. In Rhode Island, the Superior Court ruled on this issue in '92. So the banks are arguing in some cases that if this really stands, that they will not originate, or even Connecticut for that matter, where this has been going on for some time now, and their arguments aren't valid. They're just having a problem now because there's so much of it, because of the underwater mortgages, the valuation, and everything else. Of course, Nevada is leading the pack. You'll be able to see what's really going on right now. Connecticut, you do not see a big issue there, because what happened is the banks start paying the homeowners associations. That's what we've been seeing. And what we want to teach you at Silverstream and our superpriorityliens.com is we want to show you how to make money at this. I could spend countless hours, it seems like, giving you lots of history. I have a 23-page white sheet that you'll get a copy of that gives you a long background of what is really going on, with all the links to the legal cases that are taking place. But we're going to offer to those that are members, let's see, I want to make sure the audio is on. Okay, it looks like that Ray was saying the audio is off. If you're not being able to hear me, let me know, but it seems like my microphone's working okay. But we're going to show you how to actually buy these properties at the trustee sale. We're not going to do that tonight, but I'm going to show you examples of what's really going on. You're able to buy a foreclosed property and get a deed to a property that is actually executed because the homeowners association deeds are not being paid. What I've done is I've bought those properties and then I rented them out. I didn't sell them, I didn't flip them, even though I could do that. I rented the property out and am collecting monthly income on these specific properties that I bought myself. And I will show you how to do that, and I will also show you why that opportunity is a very lucrative one, that you could spend years collecting rental income on these properties and able to purchase them at much less than the current market value. The other opportunity that we discussed, that you can negotiate with the bank. Even though it does wipe out the bank's mortgage position, technically it does not always have a clear-cut path where you can get title insurance. And that's where the argument becomes lately, is title insurance companies are not sure how to insure these properties. And I'll go some of those details. But part of what our webinar here is tonight is to get you on the list, on the hot sheet, to, if this is of interest to you in not only Las Vegas and Nevada, but other states, how you're able to take advantage of this potential opportunity. We will show you and keep you on track of how to make money at this. Again, sorry if this is blacking out. I don't know if it's a storm that's delaying this, but it sure seems to be a little bit frustrating here. What we're trying to show again is you're able to buy properties either through the foreclosure sale, or you can negotiate with the banks to take a percentage. And some of the law that's created right now is that the banks are getting a payment. And what I mean by that is, at an opening bid of a HOA foreclosure or trustee sale, the opening bid over and above the initial bid amount. Again, I apologize for this delay. I'm not sure. Opening bid amount, that has to go to the bank or the next lien holder. And anything over and above that anything's going to be that high. Again, I apologize for this delay here. So what we're trying to express to you is, we are going to show you, we're going to give you the list. We're going to also give you the dates for the upcoming auctions. We're adding states and cities all the time that this opportunity becomes available, and we want you to see how your returns can go through the roof. But negotiating with the bank is something that we'll discuss later down the road. We also are showing you one of the main things that we discuss is how to file a quiet title action against the property, as well as buying HOA homeowner association receivables. This is like a collection opportunity. This is where we are buying upfront the debt from the homeowners association, which allows us all of the upside before the foreclosure and even after the foreclosure. These are major opportunities that nobody is doing at all, and we are going to show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and manually pull these screen. For some reason it is slow. What is quiet title? A lot of times people ask me that because it's a unique sounding term. Quiet title, again, is how you get the title to a judge, and the judge determines at that point that, yes, all valid claims are now quieted, and if they aren't quieted, they also can come forward and state their claim. Most of the court rulings you're seeing in the next slide that I'll show you is a result of a quiet title, this legal proceeding that takes place. And the banks can then come forward and say, yes, we have a claim on the property due to the fact that we have a lien on it. And the judge, these rulings are not going well for the banks right now. Again, I apologize for these dark screens. I'm not sure why this is happening. I keep saying that. Here's some headlines that are taking place recently in I'm showing predominantly Nevada right now, but it is taking place in New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and it is nationally, Colorado, New Hampshire, many. Florida is a big one right now. But take a look at these recent headlines. Nevada High Court super prior lien extinguishes first deed of trust. Attorney court ruling created real estate investors. I'm one of them. My properties that I bought at the HOA foreclosure auctions have allowed me my net worth to increase considerably overnight, especially after September 18th. That court ruling could jeopardize first mortgages. DC banks take a hit, and that's in the Realty Times, and HOA liens are first in line. Again, many of you are saying, how could this possibly be? I've never heard of anything like this ever. And it is a problem. When I was originating, a severe thing that you would be aware of and that you would want to make sure that you understood if you're originating loans as a condition of getting the loan. So take a look here of some of the states, and many of you might be in these states. There is opportunities here. Every single state has a little different twerk or legislation that changes a little bit, but there are opportunities in every single one of these states. And if you're a member and are willing to become a member of receiving the updates, etc., we are going to give you the specific legislation in every single state that there's of interest. My favorites right now are Colorado, Nevada, Florida does have an opportunity, as well as District of Columbia, Illinois. Those are all states that are very interesting on how you're able to buy properties at a much discounted rate. This next slide is the upcoming trustee sale in Las Vegas. I want you to take a look at that, even though it is going to be a little bit hard to read. This is, on the left, is the trustee sale coming up December 16th. The one on the right is the actual trustee sale that I attended, and a couple of you that there are on the conference also attended this specific trustee sale. So this one on the left, if you see here, is, let's see, these are the properties, and they're not showing right here the price, but when it gets close to the auction, most likely a day before, this upcoming again shows December 16th, all the properties are in that Las Vegas area. Looked at many of these properties personally before I bid on them, and then as you can see, I think Alexander Row is probably one of the ones on here. Yeah, here. The open bid was $8,500. Let's see, that's actually a different unit, but you could see that this is a similar property. And this on the right shows the super pretty lien is part of the foreclosure or opening bid. The ones in the red show that they have a payment plan or paid in full, or these white show they were postponed. This is just to show you the reality of what is taking place right now, and how many homes are actually going to be up potentially for auction, and most likely we can see half of them will get postponed or a payment plan, and then the other half will actually go up for auction. What we want you to do is take advantage of this opportunity. We are one of the only companies in the whole country that understands this opportunity, and I want you to realize that this is not fairly common for people to know. I researched all over the internet 6 months ago when I was aware of this. I couldn't find hardly anything that helped me learn how to capitalize on this opportunity. I had to personally research it, pay my attorney, and find how can I make money at this. These are 4 specific properties I purchased at the foreclosure sale. These are the deeds, and you won't be able to see that, but it does show over here Silverstream Advisors, etc. These are the deeds, and one of them I just showed you what I paid for the property. These are all properties I currently own. This one's worth, I would say, $250,000. This one's about $125,000. This one's close to $210,000, and this one's about $125,000 to $145,000. And I was able to purchase those for 10 to 25% of current market value through the foreclosure auction. And this one I bought from a homeowners association direct, and the others were through a foreclosure deed. So what is the opportunity that we're going to talk about here? Hopefully I'm going to pull this up, and hopefully you'll be able to see this properly. What we're going to do is we're going to have a membership, because I won't have time to handle and deal with this on a mass scale without having members of this particular interest group. And so we're going to offer memberships that you can pay monthly for, and this is what you're going to be able to get. You're going to get the trustee sale list. You'll be able to get the HOA Super Priority White Sheet that I helped write, with all the codes, with all the statutes involved. We're going to also give you access to the foreclosure lists, in every market that we have. And just so you know, I have an inside track in getting properties that nobody else will be able to bid on or even know about. And that's through we'll be able to do joint ventures with you. We'll be able to do joint ventures with other investment capital organizations out there that want to help fund some of these. You'll be able to attend the weekly or bi-weekly strategy webinars where you can tell us about your success stories. We'll tell you about ours, and we'll break down and dissect every single facet of this and how you can make money with a fraction of the cost that you would normally do trying to buy rentals. You'll be able to potentially buy homeowner association receivables. Again, this is the debt that is in need of collection from the homeowners associations. We're able to contact them and negotiate to buy these debts in bulk and process this foreclosure proceeding as well. You will also be able to get discounts and get VIP access to auction.com. This is a completely separate issue, but many people are trying to buy discounted real estate, and we have a contract with auction.com to be able to get you really behind the scenes bidding. You can get properties at 20% below what anyone else will be able to buy because of your relationship with Silverstream Advisors and the membership there. You'll also be able to get a short sale first look list and purchase off-market properties that no one else will be able to. We have relationships with these organizations that are buying huge tapes of properties in various markets, and they're coming to us and saying, Greg, we'd love for your members to be able to get access to these if they're interested in buying the short sales at, again, 20-30% of market value if they would like to. We also have apartment limited partnerships that if you like investing in apartments and being parts of a real estate investment trust or a tenants in common, where your $100,000, $200,000 investment will actually give you an ownership interest in an apartment building all over the place. And we're actually doing one in Jacksonville, Florida right now, as well as Las Vegas. You'll get our regular newsletters and a detailed list of each super priority state and its legislation. This is extremely valuable. What we also need are individuals willing to tackle and partner with us in each and every market that we want to expand into, and you could be our eyes and ears in that specific state if you choose to. We're going to kind of structure it somewhat like a franchise might be, where anything going through Colorado might be something that you could do and you could benefit from and profit from. But again, this is going first and foremost to those that are members of Silverstream Advisors and our sister companies. The other thing that we are offering is if you are in need of capital, you need to raise money for, and you want to do it legally and properly, that you need to raise money for your real estate venture or your business. We also have interest in a company called PPM Capital Advisors that you'll be able to get discounts on the services that are offered there and help you raise the capital necessary to be able to fund your business or your real estate offering. So what do you get to pay monthly for that? We're going to charge only $49.95 per month for all of those services. And think about that. I've been offered partnerships for thousands of dollars per property. They want me to partner with them or give them the list. I've had people say, Greg, we'll pay you $5,000 just for the list of the upcoming auctions. Or they've been offering me a flat fee to bid on their behalf in Las Vegas. So what I decided to do is put this all together in a package where you can look at everything every single week, every single month, and if you want to buy properties at the trustee sale, we'll let you do that through this membership. And I'm not going to require people to sign up for that this evening. If you're interested, we would love to hear from you, and we can take payment through PayPal, we could take payment through Visa, American Express, any number of ways that you would choose. but we really want an exclusive group that is excited about this opportunity. And I might not have been able to express the value in and of itself, but if you were to just buy one of these properties, I'm going to back up. This particular property is in Las Vegas. It's 925 Swiss Street. It's only 1,150 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's in a B- part of Las Vegas. I actually trimmed the palm tree here. Well, we maybe put $7,000 in total rehab into this home. I ended up purchasing this for $21,000 and put another $7,000 in rehab in that property. I've been offered the ability to partner with people on this. Every single week people want to buy interest in it. And I could very well sell the interest in this for $100,000, $80,000, but I'm choosing not to do that because I want to show you examples and be able to teach you how to do the same thing. You can create a net worth. These 4 homes right here, when the legislation changed from prior to me purchasing these homes, in the court ruling September 18th, actually wiped out a mortgage of $800,000 from a client. I might show you the court ruling here in a second. Since that news took place, my net worth increased, let's see here, 150 to probably $600,000 it increased just on these 4 homes because of that legislation. And I don't do that I mention that to impress you, but to impress on you the opportunity because I wanted to jump on it. And I'm going to show you some of these headlines real quick. Let's see here. Look at this with me real quick. This is something I was showing that got me excited about investing in super priority liens and buying homes at foreclosure. Very few people were doing this when I was doing this. But you can see this particular trust was between Wells Fargo Bank, MTC Financial, Federal, Fannie Mae. So if you go through, I just highlighted here some specific language. In 2010, Elkhorn initiated an HOA foreclosure sale, just like we're talking about right now. Wells Fargo sold the property on March 2013 to defend federal home loan. So they sold the loan to Freddie Mac. But there was a foreclosure that took place. But their argument is that the HOA super priority lien amount did not take priority or over that. But their argument, Wells Fargo said, that it only merely had a possessory interest in the property subject to the first deed of trust. And I'm going to scroll all the way down, but you'll get a copy of this in addition to many other things that I'll provide for the monthly membership. But I'm going to show you what the judge said here. And this isn't even the biggest case. The most recent one that took place September 18th in Las Vegas, the judge wiped out an $800,000 mortgage over a $6,000 super priority lien amount. Read this here. The court rejects defendant's argument that it would be inequitable to allow foreclosure of an HOA lien of relatively little value to extinguish a first deed of trust of considerable value. The court must apply the plain and unambiguous statutory language. Think about that. This is a state Supreme Court justice telling the bank, sorry, you have no leg to stand on. It is very clear what the language is. And this is taking place all the time right now. And because of this, again, the valuation of those homes went through the roof. So back to my argument again, and I'm not here, I'm not used to doing memberships, etc. However, I'm getting such a demand from my clients. Those even in attendance is far surpassed what I expected to attend. And this is our first webinar to go over this. We have another little bit of information. We have one of the largest collection agencies in the nation is wanting to partner with us on buying the receivables and investing with us on the receivables. And I know that's kind of questionable if I should disclose that right now, But I want you to understand that this group is willing to invest many millions of dollars to get in on the ground floor of the receivables. Because the receivables, if we buy that in advance and contract with the homeowners associations to then foreclose on the property, we are able to actually nearly guarantee a payoff and a profit because of the weapon that the foreclosure would actually provide. And then we can still have the ability to take possessory interest in the properties as well as wipe out the mortgage lien holders way in advance. That's what this HOA receivables amount, and it is a factoring business. So I know this is a lot to digest, and I apologize that I probably don't have enough time to discuss all of this with you, but I do want to answer some questions, so please go ahead and type those in right now. I'll try to address as many of those as I can. Let's see here. Okay. And I apologize. It says that sometimes the audio is off. Again, I greatly apologize. It seems like because of the weather here right now, the internet is way slow. It looks like there's a question. Colorado requires judicial foreclosure by HOA, not an easy or cheap path. Does HOA have the right to sell receivables prior to foreclosure? CC&R should handle this, do they? Yes, they can. Now, homeowners associations cannot sell their right to foreclose. What they can do is sell the collection, and that's what we're contracting with them to do. Is we're buying the debt, we're actually contracting with our attorney to process the debt and process the foreclosure proceedings and settle to get payment in advance. But there is some language, and I'm going to go ahead and defer that later, but there is language in many states where there is a judicial and a non-judicial proceeding here. And I won't address that right now, but Colorado is probably the best state in the whole country right now to process super priority liens. And I appreciate the input there. Mr. Boyd says that if we want to work, if I would like to work with you in Colorado, absolutely. I am looking for someone to partner with in Colorado because, again, it's my favorite state that I want to expand this in a massive way. I've got more interest in Colorado from other potential partners than any other state besides Nevada. So absolutely would love to work with you, and I think that there is no redemption period in Colorado either. So I do think that that's a premier state that we're going to get into. What about the privacy issue with selling the receivables, current or past due? We are incurring this currently. The privacy issue is again, we are not taking over the position of the HOA. We are just in a factoring business by buying debt, no different than if you owe money to Capital One because you haven't paid it, Capital One sells it to a law firm to collect on their behalf unless they write it off. In this case, the HOAs are not writing it off. It's really just a contract law right now. Ben Yoon asked, how long do you see this opportunity being available for? Great question. I'm glad you asked that. The reason I think it's going to last a handful of years is because the court systems and the appellate courts take forever to get back to. If you look at those court proceedings, and I'll send you copies of them, it takes a year to get some of these, and sometimes 2 years to get a ruling. Right now, the banks are losing all the time, so the appealing process is going to take forever. And so far, in Nevada, they would have to appeal to the appellate court in Colorado. And currently, Colorado is rejecting these cases by saying, this has nothing to do with us. You have to handle this in your own states. And the states have already ruled. The next possible appellate path someone would have, the banks would have, is all the way to the federal Supreme Court. And they're not going to probably rule these at all. I think that it's the fast that eat the slow, not the big that eat the small. And we are the fastest organization out there right now in handling these and taking advantage of this. Again, my opinion is this opportunity will last a handful of years, maybe 2 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, but it's going to change. It already has changed. Very few people know about it. You in attendance are probably, you know as much as most people on the planet right now because you attended this webinar. And again, I've spent hundreds of hours researching this and hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to prove this, not to mention $20,000 to my attorney to just validate everything that we're doing as well. Ben also asked, do you see other non-super priority states following suit or existing states changing their legislation or interpretation of the law? I do not see very many non-super priority states following suit. I think they should, but I don't see that that's happening because yet. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that many homeowners associations and lobby groups will probably adopt a version of the Uniform Common Interest Act, but by the time that is adopted, many of these issues are going to be resolved. But again, there's a lot of speculation there as well. Let's see. The legislation, this is what people are speculating on now. I don't believe the legislation is going to change. What I think will change is the banks are going to eventually escrow for taxes, insurance, and homeowner dues in their monthly payments. They're already talking about that, but that will just resolve future problems, not past problems. And it's going to take them some time to get caught up to even do that. But Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD have already recommended that the banks do that, especially in these super priority states. Won't we as a group just end up bidding against each other? Yes and no, Jeff. I don't believe that the way I'm going to perceive this is going to be a bidding war. What I recommend is people who are going to bid or want a specific property, and they could contract with me to actually bid a specific property, and you can entertain a maximum bid. But what I'm recommending is that we will have enough business to go around, that the group will be small enough, and that's why I'm limiting this to a small group that are going to pay monthly dues to get access to this information, so that we don't have a large group out there. And I do have a strategy in place to take advantage of this opportunity, but also protect each and every one of you so that you can get properties and or receivables if you would like to. And some of you might just want the information. Paying $50 a month, $49.95, is well worth the education you get because you can't get it any one place. There is nowhere you can find this information compiled together at all. But I will address that as well a little bit further, Jeff. Ben also asked, what is the length of time processing a foreclosure that you anticipate initiating? If they are late, they have 30 days, but by the time it starts being late to the day the trustee sale takes place is generally 120 days. Many of the receivables we are buying are already late. They're already into the 60, 90, 120 days, 2 years they're late as well. But there's lots of nuances that I'll have to explain in future webinars and the white sheets that you're going to get as well. Are you limiting memberships? Yes, I am limiting memberships. I'm not going to disclose that number yet, but I'm going to say it's going to be between 100 and 250 people. But the early memberships are going to get a lot higher level of benefit, because what I'll start doing once we get beyond 50 and 100 people is we're going to limit what those next level people get. Most likely they're just going to get information. They're not going to get part of the mastermind inner circle of information of how to buy, how to bid, where what we are doing as an organization. They're really just going to get lists of information, and that's it. What are your favorite states? Why are your favorite states your favorite? The main reason is there's and I won't have time to go through that right now, but Colorado, Nevada, Florida, Illinois. I want to focus on states that have the non-judicial language that is recognized, meaning if you serve properly and if they are HOA super priority states, a handful of states are not requiring it to go through the judicial process. Even though they have a judicial process for a bank to foreclose on a homeowner, they're not requiring us as investor or HOAs to be a judicial state when you're foreclosing and wiping out a lien. It's completely different. So we'll get into that a little bit more detail when you have more time. Colorado is one of my favorite, absolutely. Let's see, and of course he's not the only one in Colorado. Again, we're going to deal with quite a bit. This will work with Roth IRA, traditional IRAs, absolutely. We are joint venturing and partnering with people that have those all the time. To give you an idea of if a simple approach is if you would like to just joint venture on a specific property. We could have 2 or 3 people on a tenants in common just buying one property, the interest in one, renting it out. So we could each be $20,000, $30,000 in a property and benefit from that. We could show you how to do that as well. Let's see. What is the minimum cash to be reserved for this business you recommend? We don't have a minimum yet because we don't want to deal with a small investor. Like somebody wants to put $1,000 on a debt, but we don't have that quantified yet. My hunch is that we're going to be selling receivables at individual amounts. So let's just say hypothetically, a homeowners association has a receivable that's going to start an opening bid of $6,000. Most likely we will be selling or selling interest in that receivable for half of that opening bid, let's say $3,000. And then you'll be able to participate in the upside, half of the upside of that receivable. That's kind of what we're thinking of doing. And there is a secret approach that I'm not willing to disclose here yet, but there's a way that we're going to be able to get a large percentage of the deeds that because there won't be any bidders. And I don't know anyone else doing this yet, but we're able to have a trustee sale in a auction format, but yet able to actually get the deeds because there won't be any bidders on those properties. And so we're just wanting to let you know about that as well. My strategy isn't entirely buy and hold. There is a factoring side or collection side of this business that is extremely lucrative, because if you think about buying the receivables from a homeowners association, if we give them $3,000 up front for the receivable, and again, we have to do this in a large volume, they're not interested in selling 10, 20, 30 receivables. They'll want to sell all that they have. If we sell that, we'll be able to not only get our money back within 60, 90, 120 days, we'll be able to get all of the profit and the upside in that time frame as well. So it becomes a very good turn over that period of time, even if we never get a deed. Just by collecting what's owed to the collection or the homeowners association. Our attorneys do have costs associated with that, but the returns are very good over a short period of time if we choose to go that way. So what I would recommend that if you want the inside scoop and you want to be able to participate in all the knowledge, I've only shared you maybe with you 10% of what's available right now. You really need to pay the monthly membership to get access to all the knowledge and all the information. And I forgot to mention, and you'll be able to create your own strategy with us. We, again, are going to create a mastermind alliance here that if you feel there's a better way to approach it, if you know a homeowners association that's willing to sell their debt, or if you know certain things that we don't, we want to share that knowledge in our blogs and our websites. So again, this is ground floor. It is an untapped market. Las Vegas is tapped, but it's still a wide open opportunity. Think about these properties I bought. I paid $10, $20, $30, $50,000 for properties worth 5 to 10 times what I paid. And I only showed you 4 of those properties. There's a handful of them that are much better, but you probably wouldn't believe it if I showed it to you. So again, I apologize if I went long. I know there's a lot of questions. Please email me. I would love to hear from you. My email address is gregw, G-R-E-G-G-W, at slvrstream.com. You all received an email from me this evening. I will email you as well tomorrow to follow up to see if you would like to be part of our first Inner Circle and Mastermind Alliance to determine how you can benefit from that. And think about all these benefits that I haven't even spent much time on, is getting access to VIP bidding on auction.com. Some of those are closed bidding where if they get a bidding from us, as long as it's within their range, they'll take it. And they'll let you have the property without anyone else getting access to that. So again, I apologize it went long. I greatly appreciate your time. I will go ahead and post this on YouTube, this webinar, as well as send everyone copies that will become members of our Mastermind Alliance and pay that $49 a month. So again, have a great evening. I hope that I can help you make lots of wealth through you and your families, and educate you as a worst case scenario. Thanks again for your time.